Welcome everyone, this is the build and review of the Zaku 2. It's a very beautiful model, so I'm excited about this. We'll be doing several steps, including assembly and some marker washing and some chipping, weathering, and dry brush. The manual is a beautiful manual that comes in both English and Japanese. The kit has about 7 runners, but only about 5 are really the main pieces, and there's not that many pieces to begin with. The steps are easy to follow. There's a little bit of tricky parts, as you'll see soon when put them together. Overall, it's a pretty simple model. Because of simplicity, some parts are actually difficult to put together. The instructions have English to explain the history and the different parts of it. So, let's get started. As you can see here, the simplicity of it causes the body to have to require certain parts to clip itself together. Some parts are more difficult to push than others. In this case, the ball joint going into a rubber mount. A few pieces and the head goes together pretty well. Oop, let's try to get that back on there. Correct. There are some minor small pieces that have to go in a certain way, but these aren't very difficult. Just clip right in. Because of the simplicity, things like this arm joint are primarily made up of the rubber connections with the armor kind of holding it together. But it comes together pretty nice. Nice clean design. I was happy with it. Spikes on the shoulder mount were separate. Might have to do a little sanding to get them in there correctly, but nice tight fit. No worry about them falling off. Things like the legs were definitely the same pattern, so you can put them together at the same time. Yep, let me see if I can get that in there. There's not much of a inner frame. You just have the major pieces with the armor kind of clamping around it. Most of the pieces were the armor. If you like what you see here or have any comments or suggestions, please leave comments and don't forget to like and subscribe. There it goes. The bottom piece near the foot did have some difficulty, and I had to actually manipulate it a little bit and scrape away some plastic for it to fit on snugly. This was the most complicated part of the model. The foot connector was interesting in that it fit toward the back instead of the front or straight down. Like so. And it goes. The pelvis armor and skirt consisted of one major inner side piece where everything connected to. Everything fit together pretty easily, but just like any skirt like this, there's a whole bunch of small pieces that connect by a single little joint that might be easy to fall out if you're not careful. And with little effort, this skirt was done. The guns were only consisting of two major halves and maybe a hilt. I had no problem putting them together as long as you just aligned up the trigger and handle as you put together like this. There were a few places I decided to weld, kind of the major seams. Since there's so few pieces, it gives you opportunity to weld pretty quickly and easily. The covering down by the foot definitely needed to be glued because it didn't fit on very well, and welding it together actually provided a better effect. For this model, I decided to marker wash it instead of any liquid washing. Because it is a red paint, you would want to use a brown marker on this. You marker wash by just covering all the surface to begin with. Then get yourself a cotton like swab or a rag to dab it and even it out. For the black part, you want to use a black marker. For the darker colors, you want to use a black marker. Same thing, even with darker marker, use a cotton swab or a cotton rag to even it out. I proceeded to brown marker wash all the red parts. Dab it out and even it out. I used a sponge and like a Mr. Clean sponge to wipe away all the excess and to achieve a gradation. Trying to keep the locations near the joints of the panels to be darker. It's easy to achieve a gradation by just wiping away the middle sections of the panels. Very nice effect for very minimal effort. For darker reds, go for black. Same effect, wipe as needed to get the gradients you'd like. For chipping on this model, I decided to go with a medium gray and use a straight brush on the edges. The model is small enough where a brush like this allows you to have more control. I went with light gray because of the light red color, and I wanted to give it more of a paint chipping contrast. In the middle of all the gray chipping, I applied a little bit of spotting for dark to simulate like dirt buildup. As you can see, it gives a good gradation between having the paint chipped away versus the dark buildup of where the actual damage occurred. Between the gradation of the wash, the chipping, and the dirt buildup and damage, it works pretty well. To finish it, I use the weathering toolkit, which is like a mascara, to bring in a really nice fade between everything. It blends everything together. In this case, I use the soot because I wanted to give a darker feeling for the bright red and have a nice contrast. One by one, I went through all of the chipping points and applied the soot. Just to give it a sense of overall dirtiness. The last step is to dry brush with silver and hit any of those major points on the black part of the model. This helps it give it a chipped, sort of weathered on the inner frame. As you can see, it turned out very beautiful. For a model this price, it allows you a lot of flexibility and you can do a lot of things with it. I highly recommend this model.